So everyone, welcome to Multimodal Weekly. This is a weekly webinar series hosted by the team at Troll Labs. I saw a lot of familiar faces here, so already know what we're doing as a company. We've been meeting together on a weekly basis over the past, year and a half or so. Here's a topic that we tend to cover on a weekly basis. Research coming from researchers working in multimodal AI and foundation models. We have developers and startup founders in the past talking about a variety of innovative applications that they build in different verticals and projects that they'd like to share. And occasionally we have like team members talk about tutorials and guides about how to use a platform and API. In recent session, I especially focus a lot on the researcher side of things. That's why you see a lot of like external, session talking about everything ranging from video segmentation to video question answering to text to video retrieval to benchmarking for multimodal foundation models. And I think it's been a while since we have really refresh session talking about what we do as a company and technology and product. So for the next couple of weeks, we actually will have internal team member from different functions of the company, from product to go-to-market to research and engineering, talk about different things that we has been doing in the past and in the future. So for today's session, we'll have two team members from our growth team at 12 Labs. So we got Maninder Saini, currently the head of growth at 12 Labs, and Sue Kim, marketing specialist, recently promoted as an associate marketing director at 12 Labs. They've been working a lot with building customer demo, engaging with customer. So they have a direct, experience of demoing a playground with customers. So for today's session, they want to quickly do a refreshing instruction about playground from engineering, etc., to get people revisit of what we do from a product offering perspective. So this is an interactive session, so feel free to either raise your hand, ask question live, or send it on the Zoom chat. So with that, I will stop sharing my screen, and I'll let Sue and Maninder, you can start your slide, share your screen, and go ahead with the presentation.
Sounds good. Thank you, James. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to see you all. I'm a long-time listener, first-time presenter, so very excited to be here with you all today, and appreciate you guys carving out some time from the regularly scheduled programming as it relates to the latest in video foundation model research, multimodal AI research, and giving us some time on air here to talk about our model playground. The team's been really heads down working on building out a accessible platform where folks can come in and experience our models without having to set up a dev environment. While a lot of our user base is developers, it's a lot of AI researchers, there's also a pretty strong contingent of folks that are non-technical. They might be users on the business side. And so we've built a model playground, which is designed to give access to the models for some of those non-technical folks, and even for the technical folks to make it easier to access and realize and experience the value of our video foundation models. So I'll be kicking things off today by talking about our model playground, how to interact with it, some tips and tricks around usability, and then I'll be handing it off to my colleague Sue, who's going to walk us through around some prompt engineering as it relates to video foundation models. So our model has our two models available on it. Our playground has two models available on it. Our Marengo model, which I imagine most of you are familiar with, which is our video embedding model, and our Pegasus model, which is our video language model or a video to text model. You see these two models are able to enable a number of use cases surrounding video-based workflows. A common question we often get is like, okay, this is cool, but how can this be practically be used in my work environment or an application I'm thinking about or a project I'm tinkering on? And we've seen there is a lot of applicability across a variety of industries. So here's a quick overview on some of the verticals in which our models are being utilized. I think the one common thread here is that all of these verticals and these use cases are all very video-centric businesses or have very video-centric use cases. So media and sports, unsurprisingly, is very much a video-based business. Things like archive management, content recommendation engines, the advertising world, especially on the video side, there's a lot of need to have contextual understanding around scenes and settings to be able to figure out the ad inserts, doing ad inventory mapping, understanding if there is a compliance in accordance to brand safety rules, so on and so forth. I won't walk through all these, but I think for folks watching live, you can screenshot this. For folks that are watching the recording, you can pause here and see the rest of it. And of course, this is not an exhaustive list. There's so many other interesting use cases of the video foundation models that we come across every single day. And it's always awesome to see. It's like, oh, I never thought of that particular use case. So with all of that introduction out of the way, I'm going to move on over to our model playground. We'll switch tabs here. So you can access the model playground by going to our website, which is 12labs.io. When you come to our homepage, you will end up on this landing page where there's some clear CTAs to try on the playground. If you haven't already, you can click try on playground and you'll be taken to the sign-up flow. I already have an account, so I will be going to log in and I will provide my credentials. Oh, my credentials are already provided. So then I end up in this kind of home view or dashboard view. Here on the left side, you can see kind of the general areas of the playground's UI. So we're here in the overview where you can quickly dive in by uploading videos. So depending on the model that you're using, there are some limits that are outlined here in terms of maximum file sizes. So it's very simple to be able to interact with this. If you have any files locally, you can just grab them from here, access it from your file system and upload them. Typically, upload time is about a quarter of the length of the content. So if you have a 10-minute video, upload should take about maybe 2 to 3 minutes, maybe a little bit less than that. There's a collection of your indices or indexes. This is simply a collection of playlists. You can think of it as a bunch of mini libraries. You can see our sample account here has a number of existing indices. We have a lot of example queries. We have a number of sample indices that have been set up. And so these are all search queries and generate queries that I'll get into in a second that'll make it easy for you to get going. If you want to go into function specific areas of the playground, you can do so by going to the search area and selecting your index. Similarly with the generate, you go down to generate, select your index, classify, so on and so forth. So I'm going to go over to our examples here and walk through a couple of search queries that show how our Marengo model works. So we have a variety of content here. Let's see one that I would be interested in. This is an interesting one. So this is an example that shows how to find a specific moment in a large archive. So clicking the sample, you can see the search query here is how did Steve Jobs introduce the iPhone? Before we look at the search results, it's worth taking a look at what are we searching over. So we can see we're searching over a large corpus of video data here that spans 163 distinct videos and has a total runtime of 9 hours and 4 minutes. So this is a pretty large archive. For those of you that regularly work in some of the video-centric verticals that we talked about earlier, it's not uncommon to see archives that can be hundreds, thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of hours. In other verticals, such as the public sector, we've seen archives that are upwards of millions of hours. So imagine trying to find a precise moment across those massive archives. It's really like trying to find a needle in a haystack. So it becomes really, really important to be able to find with pinpoint precision the specific thing you're looking for. And so going back to our sample search query, I'm going to put in our search query again. How did Steve Jobs introduce the iPhone? I'm searching across this entire archive. And I can see here, this is the top search result that I'm getting. And there's two ways to view the search results. We're viewing here by video. There's also a view by clip. This is just a bit of a different way to see the search results. Different views are useful for different users. We often find that media entertainment folks really prefer this timeline view, whereas others might prefer this view. A few things in this, if you look at any of the search results, so I'm going to click on this top search result. We're seeing this is a 10-minute and 20-second video. And if we watch this clip, And oh yeah, there it is. This is indeed how Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone back in 2007. It's a very iconic historic moment. It changed computing platforms forever and introduced a completely new paradigm. So it's pretty neat to be able to find that across this, not just this 10-minute video, but the many, many hours of content that the entire index is. Very importantly here, we have the model output in JSON that gives us some of the details. So this is for the developers that might be using this to give you a sense for how our model operates and what specific model output you might be getting should you be doing the same process from the API. We see here, it's telling us what index this video lives in. We already knew that because we chose this specific index. It tells the confidence score. There is fine tunability around a threshold for confidence score. There are certain use cases, say for raw footage, maybe in entertainment, where you can probably get away with lower scores. But there are certain use cases where error rate is very important to get right. Perhaps in healthcare or automotive, where you might want to have a much higher threshold around confidence of a semantic match. So you can adjust this, and I'll show you in a second how to do this. And very importantly, which I think is probably the most important data here, the start and end points. Like I mentioned, it's really important you find with precise precision when your search query is a match in the overall content. So here we see seconds 383 to seconds 396. There's a match on the introduction of the iPhone. And then lastly, some additional fields around the confidence level. This maps to the score up here, and then the video ID, and then some additional metadata. So if we go out of this search result, we can come over to this advanced parameters panel, and we can adjust the confidence level. Like I mentioned earlier, you can set minimum thresholds based on your particular use case. And also, if you want to search across different modalities, say you want to search on just visual or just what's happening in the conversation, you can pick and choose the various modality options here. Say you have a bunch of news broadcast content that might have a lot of text on screen, and you want to enable that to find the specific moment when a certain chyron may have been presented during the broadcast. You can select that here to specifically search for any text that may have come on screen. That is a very quick overview of the model, the Marengo model, and the Playground's ability to do search and retrieval. I'm jumping over the comments here. Michael Phillips says, it would be nice to also see a duration displayed with the in, out, and total duration of matches by scoring tier. That is a great suggestion, Michael. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think particularly as we think about how does the Playground provide more value, we find for particularly editorial use cases, that sort of information would be very, very helpful. So we'll definitely take note of that and make sure our front end team hears of it. Appreciate that feedback. All right. We have done an example around search. If you could recall from earlier in the conversation, our playground is home to our Marengo model, but also our generate model. So if I want to go back to the examples, let's pick a generate example. I think this is a good one, and that's broadly applicable to a number of use cases. So the use case is moderating content based on your target audience. If I open this, let's see where it takes us. So there's a query. Would you recommend this video to young children? I'm seeing the name. It's a John Wick trailer, it seems like. If you've seen John Wick, you know right away that this would not be appropriate for children. It's a action-packed violence movie. And let's see what the model says. The model says, based on the content of the video, which includes intense scenes, violence, and mature themes, I would not recommend it for young children. So the model got it right. What we're seeing here is a specific query on the content. Out of the box, the generate or Pegasus model has the ability to do summarization, highlight creation, and chapterization. And I'll quickly run this on this to show you what that looks like. So it's given a title based off of the content. You can see what the topic is. There's some tag generation should you want to post this content onto social media. And then you can see there is a summarization here of the trailer. And then there are highlights that have been made. and then chapterization based on the content. I myself actually don't know this video, so I'm trusting the model here to take its word that that's actually what happened here. So that is pretty interesting to see these search results. So that's a very quick overview of the generate feature. Let's do one more on generate to give another example. Trying to see here. This is interesting. Make content-based recommendations. So this is taking content and asking, if I enjoyed this video, what other movies would you recommend me to watch? Give me a list and bullet points. So, okay, so this, it looks like it's a movie trailer from the movie The Joker. And the model is able to intuit that The Joker is a kind of dystopian, dark future movie. And it has a number of suggestions that very much are in that same realm of genre of superheroes, villains, dystopian, etc. So the model is able to give good recommendations based on the understanding of the video content here. That is a very, very quick overview of our model playground. Again, the model playground has been built to make it easy to experience the efficacy of our foundation models, primarily Marengo, which enables search and retrieval, and Pegasus, which is enabling the generate feature, what we call our video to text model. Now I will hand it over to Sue, who's going to go over how to prompt video foundation models.
And just a follow up on that, I think Michael had another question. If Maninder, you want to
sure.
reply in real time.
Can I also say why it recommended it asked? So I think this is asking, can I explain its recommendations? That's a good question. I'd say yes. It ought to be able to, because there's a basis for those recommendations. Like I talked about, it could be genre specific, it could be specific narrative motifs that are happening. So the model, if it were prompted, it ought to be able to tell you that the reason it's recommending those. I think given the prompt was like, hey, I enjoyed this, what else would you recommend? So it kept it pretty curt and to the point. But should we provide that additional context, explain why you're recommending these additional ones, that should be in the output response.
Yep, awesome. Yeah, Sue, do you want to go ahead?
Alrighties, if I may take the floor. So good to see you guys. To pick up on where Maninder left off. So to do these amazing things with the playground, it's always important to know how to prompt the model in question. So I'm sure you guys are familiar of prompting large language models like ChatGPT, Claude. So there is always a better way of actually prompting for you to be able to find the stuff that you want to be finding, or generating the stuff that you want to be generating. So the general advice for prompting VFMs, which is video foundation models, is to be clear and specific. So it's always it might feel like you have to kind of prompt it in a very specific way, like maybe too complex, but honestly, it's just a matter of conciseness. So I've brought over a query here just for an example. So you can search for something like cars racing through a desert in a dystopian future, which is pretty complex, but also straightforward at the same time. And if you see this actually working on our playground over here, so we have a bunch of movie trailers, for an example. It's inside an index, which is kind of like a folder for videos, and you could search for this. And out of all the trailers that are in the index, you can see that our model is pulling out Mad Max, and within Mad Max, like Maninder showed earlier, it's pulling out the exact timestamp that the actual model is, the actual query is included in. So you can see these cars racing through a dystopian desert. So, let's see, let's go back. Okay. So you can search for things like this, and from this, you can kind of see that a prompt could consist of multiple things. To go over them briefly: object detection, so something like a car; action and motion; scene and setting; specific aesthetics, like whether it's gloomy or whether it's kind of bright; abstract concepts, for example, dystopian; ability to ask questions. For example, if you had a bunch of educational videos uploaded, you could ask like, okay, so how do I actually interact with a customer interface? Or how do I cook a burrito? You could even do human and character detection. For example, what is the bear character? Or perhaps if it's like a really famous person, the model might be able to actually understand kind of who it is. And if we go back to the query that we were looking at earlier, you can see that all of these categories that I just mentioned kind of fall into it. So cars would be object detection. Racing through would require an action motion understanding. A desert would be scene and setting, and a dystopian future would be the specific aesthetics included in the video that we're looking for. So there are suboptimal and good prompts, and we'll kind of be briefly seeing how they're different. So you could search for basic objects from like a whole archive of videos like strawberry, man, explosion, and yeah, that's good enough. But honestly, that would be also doable with just normal image-based search or like manual tagging because they're just very keyword focused. But the good thing about our model is that it's multimodal AI, which means that it incorporates the visual aspects, the audio, the temporal aspects that all live inside the video. So that allows you to do very complex queries. For example, a happy man in a pink shirt smiling with flowers in his hand. So you can actually search for these very specific moments within the whole archive that you have, like man with glasses wearing an orange shirt, talking about the future of film, or a microwave exploding in the middle of the meadow. You wouldn't really be able to search such complex and contextual queries with existing solutions. So to give you like a brief demo of the multiple things you could search for, you could search for a wide shot of a city with the sunlight shining through. So you can even search for shot types, which is pretty interesting. So if you take a look at the query, let's see. So you can see that it indeed is panning through and it's actually retrieving the exact time segment within it. So all of this stuff, by the way, that I'll be showing is some specific use cases in the film industry. As Maninder mentioned earlier, we're a video focused solution, so we're applicable to technically multiple fields that actually use the video medium. But I guess the film industry is one of the key industries that use video. So you can do multiple queries within this. So you can even do something like people laughing and hugging each other after cracking the code. So that requires a really complex understanding of the whole situation itself. But I don't know if you guys have seen this movie, but it's from The Imitation Game, where they finally crack the code and the problem is resolved. So yeah, that would be kind of emotional understanding and situational understanding at the same time. You could even do kind of diverse action combinations. For example, a soldier letting his teammate down a cliff by a rope while avoiding gunshots. Quite a tricky prompt, but as long as you make it concise enough, you can see that he's letting his teammate down with a rope, and he's in a war situation. And then the soldiers were coming to actually shoot him down. You could even do something like a man and a woman singing and laughing in front of a piano with a green background, and you get the scene from La La Land. Pretty nice scene. And then if we move on, so honestly, so as you can see, you can do multiple queries with search, but what's interesting is that to show you how like suboptimal and optimal prompts may differ, from the scene, the soldier letting his teammate down, you could kind of search for just war or like soldier, and you do get multiple instances of the thing you're looking for, but that makes it tricky to actually find the exact scene that you're looking for, or maybe like include the contextual things that may be important for the clip that you're actually finding. So yeah, you can see it gets the war, they're all running out, but let's say we want to find this exact scene, then you wouldn't really search for war, you would search for something like soldiers running out of the trench with guns and shouting at the same time. So it's actually, it's a matter of the prompt that you're actually inputting. And then, yes, of course, you could search for goal if you have a bunch of sports indexes. And this would be useful if you're trying to collate a whole compilation video of like a bunch of good goals. But let's say you want to search for something, so you do get a bunch of results. But let's say you want to compile epic shots or like really cool goals within the game, then you could search for something like LeBron James shoots a deep three. So within a bunch of basketball videos that we've uploaded as an example, you can really find like the core goal moments as well. So this is just like a before the video happens. So there he goes. Nice. So yeah, you can search for really specific things, and that's the point that we're trying to make. Now, to move on to generate, Maninder did give an overall view, but just to give you another example. So this is the Barbie trailer. I don't know if you guys have seen this movie. But if we summarize that, you can see that it generates the title, the related topic, related hashtags. So honestly, you could kind of use this for metadata tagging if that's the use case you're looking for. And then you've got the whole summary. What's interesting about the summary for Generate, I feel like one of the strongest traits is that there are existing video summarization solutions out there. But let's say if you upload a Charlie Chaplin video to those, highly likely that it won't work. The reason being is that the existing solutions are mainly based on speech to text. So it would extract all the speech living inside the video and just summarize the transcript essentially. But we kind of move away from that. We incorporate all the multimodal elements with the visual, audio, everything. So we give, the model was able to give a very detailed, accurate summary. So if it had just got the transcript out, it wouldn't really be able to tell you things like, oh, that she's wearing pink high heels, pink dress, and then she's attending a beach party, bright colors, imaginative settings. So you can see you get a really holistic summary, you get the highlights, and you can use these for just like trying to see the key scenes within the video. It would be really useful for sports as well. And chapters that actually break the video down into kind of sections, depending on the narrative flow. So yeah, for funsies, I actually, before I made a vlog when I went to like a company offsite, and I uploaded it on the playground just to see, you know, because sometimes using like public videos might not really seem like, huh, the model really gets it. So this was a vlog I made, and you can see it really understands what's going on in the video. So what we did was I went to San Francisco to meet my teammates, and we were just like visiting a couple places, and also I just filmed like office hours, people working in the office. And yeah, it gave a pretty decent summary. And also the highlights, my face is there, oops. And some significant chapters of what happened. So we actually went to see a baseball game and everything. So you can see it really gives a good summarization and highlight generation. So yeah, that was the prompting and the demo section of the whole webinar we're trying to do today. And I think I got a question. I don't know how to move out. Stop sharing for the time being. Let's see. So Arena said, can you speak more about how the emotional prompt search works? For example, can it query to show images that generate human emotions of empathy or motivation to something? Query to show images that generate human emotions. Well, I guess show images? I think you mean show videos, but basically you can search for so what we were trying to show was that our model has a good understanding of human emotions. So unlike other things that you would have to base on objects or just like general settings in general, you can search for stuff like happy moments or something interesting or something tragic, and it would be able to retrieve relevant moments in the whole archive that you're searching from. Hope that answers your question. And then Michael Phillips says, I can imagine the prompt types are different for someone using it for editorial versus a consumer style search on finished content. For editorial, can the shot type understand a pan left to right versus right to left, dolly in versus dolly out, or a character looking in a certain direction, etc.? This would be combined with other scene descriptions as well. Well, that really depends on how good our model is, and I'd say it's really good at detecting scenes and actually all the panning of camera motion, because we've been trying to really educate, train our model to understand like how the camera movements are working within the video. So in the editorial workflows, it would work pretty well. For example, camera panning in, dolly zoom out. Though if you really want exact what do you call it, camera movement detection, it might require some fine-tuning to some extent, depending on the use case. But I'd say in a generically, it does a pretty good job. So wide shot of a city. I did do I don't know which index the video is in, so I don't think I can pull it up right now, but I tested out with panning in, zoom outs, dolly zoom as well, and it did a pretty good job. Also, does the API allow for longer content than the playground's limit or of 30 minutes? Maninder, would you be able to answer this one? So content, like context length.
Yes. So it depends on the model you're using. So if you want to use the Pegasus model, it is going to be that 30-minute limit. But for the Marengo model, the upper bound is 2 hours. And if you have content that exceeds the 2-hour mark for Marengo, or it exceeds the 30-minute mark for Pegasus, the best practice is to chunk it up into smaller pieces and have it live in the same index, and you'll still be able to do a lot of the same workflows and use cases.
Okay. Are there any more questions from the audience for Maninder and Sue? And if you want to speak as well, just raise your hand and I can unmute you. Oh yeah, final clock.
Oh, I was muted, sorry. So, well, just to kind of summarize, you can do a bunch of stuff with the playground. It's really fun to play around. So feel free to upload your own videos. As Maninder showed you before, you can just simply log in and make your own ID for free. And we give up to 10 hours of free credit for you guys to upload your own videos. So this is the QR code that leads to the playground right here. You can just scan this and then try it out for yourselves. And looking forward to you guys having fun with it. And any feedback would be welcome as well.
So thanks, Irina. Okay, I unmute you, Michael. No worry.
Hello, sorry. So
Yep.
back to the when you mentioned on the I can mold multiple clips into the same archive, or the where I'm going to do it is, if I put 10 of them in there, do they know about each other contextually, or is it still separate understanding of each video? But I'm trying to get an understanding of a 3-hour movie, for example, and I put in a bunch of 30-minute pieces. Does piece 1 know about piece 8, and does it affect what it's generating as far as understanding?
I see. So questions that would be related to from second 0 to the 3-hour mark, which like character development, narrative arc, things of that nature. That's a good question. I actually don't know off the top of my head. We can follow up with you on that. I don't want to give you the wrong answer. So I'd have to check with the appropriate engineers, but we can follow up with you.
Great, thank you.
Great. Awesome. So yeah, if there's no more question, we can probably conclude the webinar early today. Thanks again, Maninder and Sue, for preparing a very thorough slide and demo content to educate our existing as well as prospective users on using 12-hours playground and Prompt Engineer as well. For both folks who attend live and see this session recording in the future, excited to have you try a model and provide us a lot of feedback on what can be improved from a product development and user experience point of view. As I mentioned, as I alluded to in the beginning of the session, we'll have a lot more upcoming webinar session, talk about some of the recent release and product that we've been working on. Next week, we have one of our research scientists talk about video foundation models and the backbone technology and the research aspect of it. And then the following week, we'll have one of our product manager talk about our recently released embed API product that can generate video embeddings from given video. Yeah, so super excited for those talk, and hope to see many of you again on the session. Yep, with that, yeah, thanks everyone, and have a good rest of your Friday. Bye-bye. Thanks, Ines. Thanks, Michael.